Hello there, my darling ones. It is so good to see you again. I hope that you are keeping warm and cozy in the chilly weather. I am a little tired tonight, after a late return from Vlantrens, but extremely excited to share today's story with you. This evening, we visit a gloomy small town, where children dread Halloween rather than embrace it, and where creatures that are not quite human slither through the shadows. So, turn up the heat, light your scented candles, prepare your hot chocolate, and discover what happens when humans face the darkest night of the year in Feeding the Ghosts. Feeding the Ghosts. Part 1. Chapter 1. My mother was worried. She was holding on to her plait, tugging it the way a toddler tugs at her father's shirt when she wants attention. If she yanked it any harder, she was going to pull it out at the roots. Mother's face was youthful for her age, but tonight, deep stress lines showed around her green eyes. For a moment, I felt uneasily that I was looking at an ancient priestess, a wood witch who could mix up cures and curses as easily as she poured a bowl of cornflakes. A second later, a shaft of moonlight pierced the illusion, and it was gone. Mother, she always insisted that I call her Lily, felt my gaze and straightened, releasing her death grip on her hair. With effort, she painted a smile onto her lips. So, she asked, "Are you ready for tonight? Ready and willing?" I lied. Halloween had never been Lily's favorite night. It wasn't the decor, the costumes, or the kids. She loved those. Nonetheless, every October 31st, there was a shadow in her eyes that did not depart until November dawned. Part of it was my birthday. I had been expected on November 1st. Lily had tried with all her might to keep me safe inside her until then, but I'd come crying into the world at 1 minute to midnight, October 31st. Lily had always feared that my date of birth made me a target, and that those from the other side of the veil would try to snatch me away at the earliest opportunity. When I was younger, she'd insisted on taking me trick or treating herself. She'd drawn me an adventure map, which younger me had thought was pretty cool, until I'd figured out that the winding path led only to the homes of other mothers. It was a way to get me candy, with the least possible risk to my life and limb. It was a good effort, but you can only avoid destiny for so long. In Oakville, we must all face our fears by the age of 13. Each of us must trick or treat in the old village before the auspicious day, or risk expulsion. Those who refuse the ritual challenge cannot remain in Oakville. They vanish. Not only them, but their families, house guests, and even their pets. The hopeful among us believe that they skip town. The less cheerful. Well, the less said about that, the better. This year was my turn to try the streets of the old village. As much as she hated it, Lily knew the way of things. There are blessings to living in a small town, and those blessings come at a price. You don't have to go. Lily said, "We could drive back home." And, "No," I said. "I wouldn't risk her life like that." Nodding, she reached into the back seat, handing me the candy bag that she had sewn for me. It was black, with reflective pumpkin lanterns sewn on each side. It had a reassuring weight. "Go on then," she forced a smile. "Out with you." I exited the car. "Right," Lily said. "Checklist. Plastic gloves. Check. Thermals on underneath your costume?" "Yes," I said. I had dressed as Batman, reasoning that maneuverability would be important. You have your water bottles and the sausages? Yes. And you're wearing your cross? I held up the crucifix that Grandma Noreen had willed to me on her deathbed. Remember, knock once at every house. Take one piece of candy, and then move on. Don't make a nuisance of yourself, and when you're done. Her voice wobbled and almost broke. I will be waiting for you. My courage wavered then. I almost succumbed to the lure of my home and bed, but the thought of that home, standing empty and abandoned, was enough to lend steel to my spine. It's 10 o'clock now, I said, looking at my watch. I will be home by midnight. Yes, Lily said. I'll have hot chocolate waiting for you. I haven't liked hot chocolate since I was 8, but I didn't correct her. Lily, I said. I love you. This time, a tear escaped. I watched her brush it away. I love you too, little bat. Chapter 2. Lily didn't wait to watch me turn onto the old walled trail. I had barely taken 5 steps before the car pulled away and raced off southwards. I didn't blame her. It was easier not to look when you thought that something terrible might happen. It wasn't going to. Of course. Generations of children had grown up in Oakville. Out of each, only 3 or 4 kids didn't make it home. Most of my friends had trick-or-treated in the old village last year. All of them had returned intact. I was supposed to go last year too, but Lily had begged me to stay with her. Looking back, I would have made it easier on myself if I'd hung with the crowd. I couldn't change that now. I could only go on and accept my fate, for good or for ill. The trail to the old village was not paved. Hidden in the woodlands as it was, it would have been easy to overlook, but on Halloween, the residents always made sure it stood out. The full length of the wall was draped with clay lanterns that glowed with blood-red light. The sight made me shudder. Chapter 3. I was winded by the time I stood at the top of the slope, looking down into the old village. Nobody knew who had built the houses that lay below me. Whoever the architect was, they had laid out the buildings in a perfect circle, with 6 spokes of 13 houses, spreading out from a circular lawn. As always, the village was ready for Halloween. The decorations favored by the old village's residents differed from those in Oakville proper. Our front lawn was dressed in green and orange electric lights, with giant fake spiders and a trio of inflatable ghosts. The old village had lights, too, but of a different sort. Some of them came from candles, set into lumpen turnips. In other places, blue and gold radiance came from glass balls that resembled old-style gas lamps. The rest, flashing blue, green, purple, and white, had no clear origin, but cast a baleful glow upon the ground. The streets were empty. Chapter 4. When I knocked at the first house, a lady came to the door. She was short and thin, with her hair in 2 long braids. The shadows beneath her eyes were a pale violet, and her skin was as white as chalk. When I gave the compulsory greeting, "Trick or treat," she offered me a wan smile and stretched out her hand. I opened the right side of my sack, and she dropped a single sweet into it. "Thank you, ma'am," I said. The people at the second house were not as welcoming. A man answered the door, two pale young boys clinging to his side. Trick or treat, I declared. I took the sweets that they offered me, strange, pale things, and slipped them into my bag. The youngest child seemed fascinated by my bag. He kept his eyes fixed on it. "Have you a gift for us?" he asked. His father scowled at him, then looked up with expectation in his eyes. "Must I? I shouldn't have said it. We have given," the dour man intoned. "And now we must receive. You know the law." I did. Drawing a trembling breath, I reached my gloved hand into the left side of my bag. The contents made a grotesque squishing sound. I almost didn't have the strength to draw out the requested item. The clump of meat and gristle that I extended towards the man had once been a squirrel. I recognized it by the matted clump of tail attached to one end. Lily and I had hunted and skinned the animals ourselves, as tradition dictated, but we weren't frontiers people, and our ability to skin prey was far from perfect. The dour man looked at my outstretched hand with distaste. After a moment, however, he took the bloody meat and thrust it into his mouth. I heard that horrible squishing and tearing as he chewed it, and gurgling when he swallowed. I stayed frozen on his top step until the man nodded his head and muttered, "Happy Halloween, young one." Chapter 5. There is a story about how the old village came to be. The old village is not really part of Oakville, unlike the rest of the town, as shown in land deeds dating back to the early 16th century. The place where the old village stands used to be an empty field with a quick flowing stream running along the southern end. In those days, the citizens of Oakville were strict Puritans, living what was considered to be a simple life. Looking back, it must have seemed restrictive and boring. Certainly, there was not much to entertain the young. Few shops, no gathering place but the church, and the only music came from the choir enclosure. That was why the young folk would sometimes sneak away to the field and amuse themselves with ghost stories and dancing. One mild October night, a party of 15 teenagers had headed up the path, anticipating a night of what, to them, would have seemed like wild debauchery. When they'd come closer to the field, however, they'd seen that there were already fires burning. Stopping on the trail, the children had watched with wide eyes as the blazes flicked blue, green, and purple against the night. Soon figures, lithe and slim, had appeared, leaping and dancing between the trees. The kids were fascinated. They watched for a long while, trembling with excitement. Nevertheless, long training would have seen them returning to Oakville proper, had the dancing not been replaced by singing. That singing, at once high and sweet and low and throbbing, drew them to it. The newcomers welcomed the children. They looked human, but their faces were tinged with green. Still, they were friendly and beautiful, beckoning the young people into the circle between their wooden carts. What happened after that, nobody knows exactly. There was dancing and singing, and the strangers fed the children a strange, pale beer. By the time the youngsters wended their way home, it was late morning. There was trouble, I'm sure. The children were preached at by their parents, browbeaten, maybe even whipped, but whatever the consequences, they didn't stop them from returning to the field. They went on the next night, and then the next. The adults followed them, but when they got near the camp, the settlers' dogs drove them away. The dogs were strange, pale things, beautiful but vicious. The adults who saw them said that they did not come from this world. They said that the settlers were no mere gypsies. They were hill folk, maybe even fairies. They tried to convince their children of the danger, but it made no difference. More joined them. The original 15 teenagers became 20, then 30. By the 12th night, every child above the age of 11 was fleeing the village to cavort with the strangers. The town priest was afraid. He knew that, if the human children returned a 13th time, something terrible would occur. The 13th night after the strangers' arrival had been October 31st, when, legend had it, the veil between the worlds was at its thinnest. The parents of Oakville tried to prevent their children from meeting the strangers. They chided, yelled, and ordered. They'd locked them into their rooms. Some had even bound their offspring with ropes. Nothing had worked. Within moments, doors had opened and locks had flown free. They could pick up a girl and carry her forcibly into the house. But seconds later, she'd be back out. By sundown, the despairing villagers had known what they had to do. They grabbed weapons, torches and iron bars, and marched on the field. There are no written records of the massacre. Nobody wanted to make concrete something so horrible. All that was remembered were the sounds of screams and breaking, and the crackle of real, honest red and gold fire. Not all of the dead were strangers. Oakville lost a third of its adult population that Halloween night. By morning, all that remained on the field was a series of scorched circles. People grieved. People mourned, but life went on. The residents of Oakville thought that they were safe. Then, exactly 1 year after the strange folk had first appeared, baleful lights were seen through the trees. That was when the people of Oakville knew that they had made a terrible mistake. They also knew that Halloween would never be the same again. Subscribe to become a delicious darling. Spooky or what? I can hardly wait for next week to hear the rest of the story. Yes, I could skip ahead, but it's much more fun to enjoy the conclusion. To a spooky tale with friends. Today's word for the comments is fairy. Type it, then tell me in the comments what you would imagine a scary fairy looks like. If you would like to protect Apanthani from the residents of the old village, please hit like and subscribe, and tap the notification bell. That way you will become an official delicious darling and a welcome part of our spooky cookie family. This week, I am going to be working through a tall pile of stories and poems. I will also be lighting all of the fires in my home to chase out the winter chill, and drinking far too much hot cider and mulled wine. Until we meet again, be careful who you party with. Never drink pale beer. If you hear strange music deep in the woods, run in the opposite direction. And sleep well, my delicious darlings.